What it do, too? I got a couple quick questions for you. Number one, whose house? I said, whose house? Whose house? Ram's house, damn it. And I got another question for you. What did I tell you? What did I tell you? I called LA Rams by 4. It ended up being Rams by 3. I throttled down the prediction on the score. Could have throttled it down a little bit more. But hey, it was a beautiful day in Inglewood at the palace known as SoFi. And despite the fact that them damn Niners had won 6 straight, despite the fact that the boy Wonder McGenius had been in the pocket of his papa, Father Shanahan, for these last 3 years since that miserable Super Bowl defeat to Belichick, who once again is in the news with his cheating ass, despite the fact that Matthew Stafford, Matty from the D, had been split personality style for many, many games this year, despite all of the trends, despite the fact that the Rams had been losing the offensive line and defensive line battles against them damn Niners every time. And I told you, I predicted it. The game was going to be won or lost in the trenches, on the line. Offensive and defensive line play was going to decide it, and it did. And the Rams turned the table. And finally, it was the Rams who were more physical. The Rams who dominated the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, and the Rams who ended up victorious and headed to the Super Bowl. Where? Ram's house. It's beautiful. Old fat dude used to say, how sweet it is, how sweet it is. So, predictions coming perfectly into view. And let me say this to San Francisco 49ers and their crew, their fans. You served your purpose. Like in some stories, there's the useful idiot, not to call anybody, but the useful fools, you know what I mean? You have a purpose that you serve. You don't know you're serving it. You stumble into it. And it all works to the good of the heroes in the end. And that's what you did, you see. You went to Green Bay out there in that below zero temperature. And you knocked off them old suspect Packers. And I predicted that too. And that spared the Rams I would say, the significant possibility that they might have got tripped up out there. Because with old Matty from the D out in the cold, stumbling and fumbling, but you went and took care of Green Bay. And then you came to the palace. And we took care of you. And it was a beautiful thing. And to the San Francisco 49er fans who have come down in droves and takeovers, renting hotels and flying and by plane and coming en masse. Get the hell out of here now, okay? You came, you have spent lots of your hard-earned money down here in the LA economy. That's wonderful. You took that big fat L, beautiful, and get the hell up out of here. Go back to the cold hills from whence you traveled, and take that L with you. And I'm going to do a companion video to this one. And in that one, I'm going to really go more into the kudos and the congratulations, the specific individuals more so. And I'm going to talk more about the current events with the NFL and Brian Flores, Belichick, I'm going to give you story time in the companion video. Story time. I call it the football gods and the football overlords. It'll be a good one. So please subscribe if you haven't already and throw me one of these. But I will say in this video that I can envision a conversation between Brian Flores and Bill Belichick, just based on the transcript I've seen of their emails. And apparently, as I'm sure you know by now, Brian, there's a white Brian, and Brian, there's a black Brian, and they're both coaches, and they both worked for Belichick. Black Brian had been with Belichick 20-some years. White Brian had go way back with Belichick too. Previous organizations before the Patriots. And so, apparently, old fogey-ass Bill Belichick just had him as Brian. And maybe he had an initial for a last name. Maybe he didn't pay attention, but he had Brian, and he didn't have white Brian, black Brian. He just had Brian. And so, there's a job opening, the New York Giants, and it shows you how the NFL colludes. See, they have the best game on earth, but they're filthy behind the scenes. And you saw what they did to Kaepernick and, just scenarios. Filthy. They collude. And so, here it is. Brian Flores, we come to find out, is fired because he won't throw games. Damn. And he's interviewing for the Giants head coaching position when the Giants have already decided they're hiring the white Brian, who had already interviewed. But they got to interview black Brian because they need a black body, see, someone to fill the quota, a token person to interview to say, no, we looked at diversity. And so, as it so happens, Belichick has coached both the white Brian and the black Brian, and he has them both in his phone, and before the black Brian can even go interview, Belichick sends him congratulations on getting the job he hadn't interviewed for yet. And to me, Belichick is sort of like the Penguin in the old Batman, dating myself. But I can just envision the conversation, Belichick's like, congratulations. And black Brian Flores is like, well, thanks, coach, for what? Got the news. Heard about it. And he's like, heard about it? You know something I don't know, coach? Giants. And he's like, yeah, I interview in a couple of days. Well, I heard you got it. He's like, you heard I got it? And then it dawns on him. He's like, Coach, I'm Black Brian. Is this who you're trying to reach? He said, Flores, I'm sure. and then Belichick said, sorry, fucked up. So then they go and do this long, extensive interview, and then they hire the white Brian, which is what they were going to do all along, you see. It's filthy. I want to go more into story time over there in the companion video, though. So this video is about the Rams, all right? And this magnificent beautiful victory over the Niners on Sunday that advances them to the Super Bowl. So, and just one quick additional note about McWonder, because I know this game, going into it, he had to feel the most pressure he's ever felt in his life, and I talked about it in the previous video. In the post-game presser, when asked if during the run-up to the Niners game, when he was asked about whether or not Father Shanahan was in his head, and the reporter asked him that, is Shanahan in your head? and he was like, he took a beat, and then he was like, no. But they asked him in the post game of the victory about that particular question, and McWonder said, yeah, what kind of question was that, Gary? And he looked over at him and he said, jerk. And I mean, it was like, with fun, they won and it's good humor, but I think he meant that, you fucking jerk. In my head, he's not in his head anymore. He's out of the pocket of Father Shanahan and on his way to his second Super Bowl in 4 years. Congratulations, Coach. Well done. Now, let's get to the game analysis. Kansas City is already eliminated, upset by Cincinnati Bengals. And the palace is filled with them damn Niner fans. That Matt Gold and Cardinal everywhere. And they're making a lot of noise, keeping up a lot of racket. They feel good about themselves, see? Because they know they've won 6 in a row. And they've won them in different ways. And so they feel like, why not this time? And they feel like it's a takeover. They've come in droves. Caravans of them. And to me, I just think of the money you must have spent, each and every one of you. Well, the ticket was pricey to get the ticket. They tried to weed out all them damn Niner fans from buying up the tickets, but the ticket is pricey in and of itself. And then you've got to come down from the Bay Area. You need a plane, or you've got to, gas up and drive an extended period of time. You need somewhere to sleep at night. And all of this you're doing because you anticipate the time of your life. You coming to see your team knock off the Rams for the 7th time in a row and go to the Super Bowl in the Rams' house, and you're going to be dancing in the Rams' house. And it's like they have this perfect idea, this fantasy. So it was good to see what happened to them. I mean, it really was. And I'm sure the city of LA thanks them all for their generous contributions to the local economy. Because they spent some money now. Now take that L with you now. And get to stepping on. So Trent Williams is playing, and Taylor the Rapper is not. Man, that concussion must have been a doozy. Woo-woo. Van Jefferson is playing, and Eric Weddle is playing. What about Eric Weddle? We'll get back to him. Now, we open up the game, and right away, you'd expect a little bit. There's a 3 and out. In and of itself isn't a big deal, but they don't run on any of the 3 downs. All passing. 3 and out. All passing. And I feel this sort of ominous feeling like, oh, no. You don't have to prove anything to settle into it. This search, how. Please, if you've watched any of the other videos, you know how I think. And so that I took as an early ominous sign. But the Rams punt, the Niners, conversely, under the direction of Father Shanahan, they come out running. They run on 1st down. They run on 2nd down. But here's the thing. Unlike in previous games against LA, they didn't pick up the first down on first and second down runs. And so now they were faced with a third down. And so on their first third down of the game, Jimmy G is throwing. And Jimmy G is missing a wide open receiver. And to be honest with you, it was like, you gave me one, I gave you one, because Stafford missed a wide open OBJ. So LA gets the ball back. And on first down, there's finally a run to Cam Akers for 3, 2nd and 7. But then, second down, throwing again. And in fact, out of the first 6 Rams plays offensively, 5 are pass attempts. And so as you can see now, we're out of balance. Throwing again. Now, Matty from the D gets touched up a little bit. Dirt ball. They throw him in the dirt. He throws the ball in the dirt. You have seen it before. So I'm thinking, see, part of the problem is you're out of balance. But then 3rd and 7. Complete. Cooper Crazy Legs Cup. Moving the chains. OBJ gets in on the action. Sticky fingers. Moving the chains. And so the Rams drive the ball. Get down inside the red zone. In fact, get down inside the 10. 1st and goal at the 8. And that's after Cam Akers damn near popped one. One of the few runs he got. He damn near popped it. But they tackled him inside the 10-yard line. 1st and goal at the 8. Cam Akers is stuffed. Okay. 2nd down. Throwing. Short pass to Higbee. Not much there. 3rd and goal. Throwing. Poltergeist strike. Just like that, you see. Just like that, you see. Why? Why? Because when you insist on staying out of balance, when you persist in chucking it all around the yard, you invite in the unspeakable one. And you know what they say? If you invite him in, you know the palace is haunted. You invited in. And he came. The 3rd down pass. Bad pass. Thrown behind Cup. Tipped. Picked. Nothing. LA gets nothing. Nothing. I don't blame Matty from the D anymore. I put that at the foot of McWonder. Okay. This is the biggest game of your life now. And turnover. San Francisco ball. It was 3rd and goal from the 3. 3rd and goal from the 3. You wanted to chuck it. You remember in the Green Bay San Francisco game when they had this crucial 3rd and 7 and Father Shanahan handed the ball off on 3rd and 7. And if he wouldn't have made it, they would have crucified him for it. But he made it. 3rd and 7 in a crucial high leverage, not in the first quarter. But on 3rd and 3, you chuck it. So San Francisco gets the ball, no score, and of course, they drive. Now, the drive does stall out. And again, I have to point out that the defensive line of the Rams, they had resolve that San Francisco was not going to drive on them. And that's what killed the Rams against the Niners in both of their losses in the previous 2 games. It was San Francisco's ability on offense to run gouge the Rams and eat up enormous chunks of clock and create a massive time of possession discrepancy. And then in so doing, cash those drives in for points. You combine that with the Ram turnover, a mistake or two, and that was the recipe the Niners had used. And to the Rams' credit, and I give specific credit and recognition to Coach Raheem Morris, because the defense stepped up to the challenge, changed the game. And Raheem Morris had a far better coaching performance in the championship game on Sunday, I would dare say, than Coach McGenius. But in the end, if you get the dub, all the other stuff is forgotten. If you're not paying attention, most people, they just care if you got the dub. And this is where, with this pick, this was where I came to the realization about Coach McGenius. It's that, like with Matty from the D, he's got these certain tendencies, and to expect him to change them, to expect that, I hoped that after seeing the success he had with my formula in the Cardinals game, in that first playoff game, I hope maybe he would become a convert to the church of balance. Well, no. And so I fully believe in the Super Bowl, old McWonder's going to throw it up 45 times. He might, feeling himself, he might toss it up 50. And this is where Cincinnati could take advantage of his tendencies. So I'm expecting it will be an interesting game to watch. But my realization, my epiphany is that he's going to do what he's going to do. And I'm not going to write him any more letters. I'll just comment from the sofa. I have a microphone. I'll comment from the sofa, but I'm not going to, because, and I saw in one interview where he said he has to shut out all of the outside noise and find his inner peace and be himself. And I get it. And the success he's had is miraculous, but man, you've been getting lucky. You could have easily been on the bad goat end of the old GOAT, eliminating you in the worst playoff choke job in NFL history. You were this close. You were so close. You know, it doesn't have to be as trying and difficult. There's an easier way. That's all. But hey, I digress. Because what I realize is that certain people have a tendency for bird brain behavior at points in time. And in this case, when it comes to the play calling, I could tell McGenius was a little tight. He's a little tight. The drive stalls out. They punt. Who's back there to receive the punt? Crazy Legs. This is what I'm talking about. Why are you doing this? Again, you're doing it again. Okay. Higbee, I see, at this point in the game is injured, and We'll talk about the injuries a little bit later. Fortunately, they were few for LA. Now, LA with the ball after the Cooper Kupp fair catch. Wow! They're backed up deep in their own end. And McGenius wisely runs the ball on 1st and 2nd down. And Cam Akers pulls them to a 3rd and 2. And I'm thinking, of course, run it again, McGenius. Dominate, assert yourself, eat up some clock, keep the drive alive. He's throwing, incomplete. They gotta punt the ball away, but wait. They're bailed out. There's a flag on the play. PI. And so the drive continues. And I'm like, man, again, here you are, 3rd and short, and you won't run the ball. But you got lucky yet again. And so now Cam Akers gets the ball. And it was at this point where Cam Akers trucks Greenlaw. And Greenlaw, see, is San Francisco's resident enforcer. They're cheap shot artists. You know, he plays below the line, right? And way through the whistle, you know. And Cam Akers trucked his ass. And Greenlaw did not return. And it was at that point where I thought, oh, yeah, that whole claim on who's going to be more physical, well, so far, it's looking like that belongs to L.A. That's on the L.A. sideline today. And so the drive continues. Now, it's 3rd and 2. Again, now, 3rd and 2. What do I see? They come out empty backfield shotgun on 3rd and 2. And I'm like, what is with this dude? And then they burn a timeout right there. Maybe it was my psychic energy. What are you doing? And after the timeout, 3rd and 2, they come out. This time, they're in the shotgun still, but this time, Sony Michel is back there as protection, rarely ever used, out of the gun, a decoy. But still, I strongly recommend, if you're going to put Matty in the gun, put the back there alongside him. And that's the formation we saw. And what in the hell? What do you know? But they handed off to Sony Michel out of the gun. What? Be still, my beating heart. Run on, McGenius. Run, McForrest. Run, I'm thinking. Rams with the ball in the start of the 2nd quarter. They hand off to Cam Akers. 4 yards, 2nd and 6. You know what I'm thinking. Let's get that balance rolling. Dominate these fellas. But on 2nd down, they're throwing. Quick out to OBJ. Sticky fingers. Nice move. 1st down. Chains are moving. But now they're throwing again. 1st and 10. Throwing. Incomplete. Now 2nd down. Throwing again. And Matty from the D. Double pumps. The 2nd pump. The ball squirts out. Poltergeist strike. The ball is out. What in the name of all that is holy? McGenius. But it's ruled incomplete. It was incomplete pass. It was, it popped out. McGenius, there is a malevolent spirit that goes by the name of the poltergeist, the unspeakable one, and you are inviting him in to wreck your game plan. But sometimes they say it's better to be lucky than good. And McGenius, again, is lucky on this particular play. The Rams maintain possession, and the drive continues. Okay, he's not going to run. He's gotta be him. He's gotta be free. He's gotta be he. So they're throwing, chucking it all around the yard because that's his instinct. That's what he wants to do, you see. And the Rams are moving the ball. And the drive is eating up clock. And this time, look at Matthew Stafford. He takes off because there was nothing there. He didn't throw it off into double coverage. He actually ran for the first down to keep the chains moving. And I'm like, okay, I like how this drive is consuming clock and working on the San Francisco D. There's Kendall Blanton with a catch, converting for a first down. And then, why, look over there. There's Cooper, Crazy Legs, Cup doing crazy legs. So now, from the San Francisco 11-yard line, Matt Stafford from the shotgun with protection. Back of the end zone. Crazy legs. Cooper Cup. Touchdown. Touchdown. L.A. 7-0 Rams. 7-0 Rams. And here we go. Being an 18-play, 97-yard drive. And it consumed 9 minutes and 33 seconds of clock. Okay? And that's what I'm talking about. And we didn't see that in these previous games with the Niners this year. And so you see now what I was talking about in my championship game preview video. The offensive line play. Who's being more dominant on both sides of the ball? Dominant offensive line play results in long grinding drives that you cash in for scores. And dominant defensive line play results in collapsing pockets and pressures and whirling dervish, scatterbrain, poltergeist strikes, but I get ahead of myself. So now, with just under 9 minutes left in the first half, San Francisco takes over trailing a touchdown, and they start driving the ball. And from the LA 44-yard line, they toss a little wide receiver screen to Debo, and he does the rest, takes it to the house. 7-7 tie score, just like that. So from the gun with protection, Stafford to OBJ, sticky fingers, first down. Then Cam for 9, and then Cam again for 3 more, first down. And then from the LA 48, Stafford with a dart, would have been a breakaway touchdown with Yak for Crazy Legs, and he drops it. Cooper, Crazy Legs, Cup does what he rarely does, drops a touchdown. But the drive continues, makes up for it, or he does his best to on the very next play, because he makes a more difficult catch to get to a 3rd and 1. And they run on 3rd and 1, thankfully, first down. And then on the next play, home run ball, Matthew Stafford to consonants, a.k.a. hands of stone, and hands of stone completely dropped it. And so it is fair to say that on this particular drive, Matthew Stafford had 2 very clear touchdown passes dropped. One by the guy who has put up the best statistical season in NFL history as a wide receiver, and the other by a guy who really ought to be on the special teams. But I know McGenius has a soft spot in his heart for those people that look like him. You know, he's got this soft spot in his heart for the Wolford. And I tell you what, if anything ever happens to Matthew Stafford, the Rams are sunk. And I've been saying this for the longest time. You need to promote Bryce Perkins to your backup quarterback, because the Wolford will not work. But he favors you. You got a soft spot for him, see? And that's dangerous. And the same thing with consonants. Let him be a gunner on the special teams and run and bang into people, but you're trying to throw home run balls in the playoffs to consonants, hands of stone? Wah! We've had these conversations. but I'm just a guy on the couch. So the Rams have to settle for the field goal after these botches, bumbles. And right on cue, Matt Gay, your Pro Bowl kicker, misses. Well, that was a squandered drive. And so the score remains tied, 7-all. Now, there's 1:40 left in the half. In San Francisco, they come out throwing. And it was on 2nd and 8 when Debo got blowed up. Okay? I mean blowed up. It was Nick Scott. Nick Scott has been balling. Nick Scott has earned himself a position, okay? And he blew Debo the hell up. Or as Debo himself would say, you got knocked the fuck out, sir. And it was wonderful. And Debo had to be helped off. The bully now. He's the chain snatcher. Got waylaid, and he got hit so hard that if there was any snot in his body, it left it. And the hit was so violent that the ref just instinctively threw a flag. Penalty. And they said, well, what's the penalty? He said, I don't know. He just knocked the snot out of him. He said, well, this is football. You can do that. He said, yes, but it was so violent. Are we sure that was clean? And they looked at it and took another look. And yes, it was a textbook hit. The ref picked the flag up. There is no penalty on the play. Just need a few moments to clear some of this snot up and we'll proceed. But San Francisco continues on their drive. And with under a minute left in the half, they engineer a field goal attempt. And their kicker converts it. And so San Francisco goes in the halftime, leading LA 10-7. And they get the ball back to start the third quarter. Missed opportunities and poor balance. You're backsliding. So, to start the third quarter, we come out the tunnel, and Father Shanahan is throwing, surprisingly to me. But the Rams have been dominating both sides of the ball at the line of scrimmage. And so, have the Rams imposed enough of their will on Father Shanahan that he is now throwing against his nature? And Jimmy G throwing is almost picked by Sox. Sox with the pick six right there. He dropped it. He dropped it. And so that was a theme also for both sides. Missed opportunities. So, having survived a near poltergeist strike by Jimmy G, so on 3rd and 9 from the LA 43, San Francisco, what do I see? They're in the shotgun with Jimmy G, empty backfield. And I'm like, wow, it feels almost like Father Shanahan is doing a mind meld with McGenius. Like he's becoming, it felt like he was McVade. And Jimmy G throws a tip pass incomplete, and they have to kick the ball. So San Francisco has to kick. And why is Cooper Kupp returning the punt again? All he ever does, and he does so, is fair catch. And he does, again, fair catch. LA takes over. 10 minutes and change to play in the third quarter. And I call this drive the OBJ drive because OBJ balls out this drive. Sticky fingers here, sticky fingers there. And the ball is moving down the field. And the Rams, again, seem to be trying to take control essentially from the line of scrimmage. And on the drive goes Stafford, complete to Blanton, who had a nice game. And on 3rd and 1, oh God, they're throwing. Incomplete. So now, it's 4th and 1 from the San Francisco 43. You had the option to run it on 3rd and 1, but you chose to chuck it. Now it's 4th and 1. McGenius tries to go for it and comes up short on the sneak. And turnover on downs. And then he doubles down on the bad decisions by challenging the spot, which he fails. He loses that challenge. So now he's running out of timeouts, see, in the second half of the most crucial game of his life. Okay? He got a little jittery, a little squirrely. So it's San Francisco ball now, near midfield, up 3. There's just under 8 minutes left in the third quarter. And they start to drive, of course. And I'm thinking, let's go, D. Hold them. But Debo, who is now back, is contributing. And Jimmy G is sprinkling in passes here and there. Ultimately, Jimmy G connects with Kittle in the end zone for a touchdown, 17-7, San Francisco. And it's like, oh no, not again. So now I'm feeling the nerves now because I know the tendency, see, and I know how Father Shanahan likes to bleed out the Rams, and I know McGenius can get panicky. And so the Rams get the ball back, and Matty is out of the gun with protection and complete to Cooper Kupp. And then Sony Michel gets a run, and then Cooper Kupp again with some yak. And so the Rams are driving the ball. Kendall Blanton gets in again on the yak when they do a very unique thing that was born out of necessity, a flea flicker screen to the tight end. Never seen it. It's different, but it worked. And on 2nd and 1 from the San Francisco 12, McGenius goes empty backfield shotgun, and I'm like, gulp. But no, it pays off. Cooper Kupp, touchdown. Touchdown, LA. 17-14 with 3:30 to play in the third. And with 13-10 left in regulation, it's now a 3-point game. And I'm like, can LA gut check out a win? Can the D hold them? And so Debo is back to return the kickoff. And he's stuffed. Didn't get too far. And here comes San Fran. And here comes Debo. Cisco reaches a turning point, a crucible. They get 3rd and 2 and they're stuffed. And they go for it. Oh, wait a second. They don't go for it. They're going to kick. And McGenius calls a timeout. And I'm like, no, why are you calling a timeout? They're gonna go for it. But they don't. They kick. And I think Father Shanahan sensed that the Rams' defensive line was starting to win and exert themselves, and he didn't want to risk it. So Shanahan is now finding himself in McVay's little pocket. Or maybe he knew something. He punts the ball away, and Cooper Kupp is back to receive the punt. Fair catch, as usual. And then, on 1st down and 10, from the LA Rams 15-yard line, their own, McVay, down 3, is throwing. And Stafford throws it up. Poltergeist strike. Poltergeist strike. He threw it up to no one except for the defender. And I watched it float into the hands of Tart, the defender. Pick, and he dropped it. He dropped it. Matty from the D, the poltergeist, threw one right to him. No one else was there. He wasn't contested. It was perfectly between 2 Rams receivers running routes, but there was nobody near him. It floated right to him, and I'll give him credit in the postgame. He stood up and said, I saw him throw it and I said, Stafford just fucked up. We got him. We win. And he dropped it. And he laid there. And that's going to haunt him for an eternity. Okay? In a way, I feel bad for him, but not really. And people say, well, that was the game. But see, there were drops on both sides. There were interceptions dropped on both sides. There were passes that should have been caught that were dropped. And so, hey, this is the way it had to play out. But oh, what a mistake by Matty from the D. But I give Matty from the D this credit. Once he fouls up, the next play, he comes back out like it never happened. Got to have a short memory, I guess, if you're a gunslinger. And that's what he was. He came right out of it, just like in Tampa Bay, when he damn near fumbled the game away against the old GOAT, and he came right out of it, throwing darts and dimes. And he did the same thing here. And he leads the Rams on a drive after that dropped haunted gift. And the Rams score 3 and tie the game. Now, with 6:49 left in regulation, AD 99 touches up Jimmy G just a little bit. And on second down, delay of game. And you can feel the momentum. See, it's swinging. Now, 3rd and 15. Biggest down of the game. San Francisco, incomplete. They must punt. And thankfully, finally, Powell is now back there to receive the punt. OBJ for 6, complete. Sticky fingers. And now on 3rd down, Cooper Kupp, complete. 1st down with Yak. And this was the play where Cooper Kupp emotes. He finally let it out. Oh, like the wolfin'. Cooper Kupp. Beautiful conversion. And the Rams are driving, and we're feeling it now. And they're feeling it now. To the 11. San Francisco's out of timeouts. Gay. The field goal is good. The scoring is complete. 20-17. LA. And that's how it would end. Despite the final bits of heroics by the defense, it was good to see Aaron Donald calling the defense around him, exhorting them, imploring them, demanding from them that they dig deep and reach inside and pull out what they've never pulled out before to stop this team, to stop the bullying, to stop the losing streak, and to get to the Super Bowl. And that's what they did. Because on 3rd long, Jimmy G, in the grasp of AD 99, spinning, twirling, flipping, looking like Matty from the D against Tennessee, or looking like Kyler Murray against the Cardinals, or looking like Carson Wentz against almost anybody. Spins and throws one up, tip, interception, game over. Game over. Now get the hell out of here. Rams going to the Super Bowl. Prediction complete. Check. The defense showed up. I mean, I am going to give out game balls on the accompanying video. So I don't want to go into too much more of that here, but please check the accompanying video, the companion piece to this video, and we'll definitely go more into some of these other angles. But for this video, I have to point out that Debo, the bully, was over there weeping after the game. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo, weeping. The bully's not supposed to weep. You snatching chains. What you crying for? And OBJ went over there and, trying to console him and be the bigger fellow. You think if the roles would have been reversed, he would have done that for OBJ? No. And they asked Debo in the presser, in the postgame, what did OBJ say to you? He said, I don't know. I wasn't listening to him. The final numbers. Stafford had a passer rating of 96.3. The Rams had a 36-24 minute time of possession advantage. They ran the ball 24 times for 62 yards. Cam Akers, 13 carries for 48. Sony had 10 carries for 16. And great stat, they were 11 of 18 on third down. OBJ, sticky fingers, 9 catches for 113 big yards. Cooper Kupp, crazy legs. The first receiver in NFL history to go for over 2,000 yards in a season. The first receiver in NFL history to have 1,300-plus yard games. He went for 142 yards, 2 touchdowns on 11 catches. He seems to have magic in the fourth quarter, does Matt Stafford. He was 31 for 45. Yikes, 45 for 337, 2 touchdowns. And, of course, that awful, awful interception. We won't talk about the one that wasn't. And so, kudos to the team. Kendall Blanton, for example, the undrafted tight end out of Missouri, had a big game. The Rams outrushed San Francisco 70-50. They beat Father Shanahan at his own game. Father Shanahan gave up on the run. He pulled a McVay. Role reversals, he gave up on the run. And so the Rams outrushed them and they outpassed them 326 to 232. LA had a total of 29 rush attempts. San Francisco had a total of 20 rush attempts. And so there you see where the game was won. Till the next time, throw me one of these now. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Leave me a comment and let me know what you're thinking. And until then, one love.